no dream is too big. In the 1970s, Steve Jobs started to say to those around him that computers shouldn't only be used by governments, corporations, and engineers, but also for regular people. It should be like a bicycle for the mind. And this computer should feel friendly, almost magical. He asked, why can't an ordinary person have a computer at their home? And why does this thing be so hard and ugly? Like, obviously, those around him were saying that he was crazy, that he was too delusional, that it was impossible, because at that time, computers were a little bit complex to use and they were intimidating and big and they were exclusive. But then he became literally one of the founders that designed Apple, the first computers for individuals, a computer that anyone can use. He designed the phone, iPad, iPhone. Because let me remind you of something. You only have one life. Make sure to do something cool with it. When we were kids, we all had big dreams. If someone asked you, who do you want to become as an adult? A lot of y'all would answer like, oh, I want to become an astronaut. I want to become an athlete, an actor. But then when you get to a certain age, you start to lower your standards because people around you are saying that you cannot do certain things in life. And I don't disagree, to be honest, but there are certain people who are built for it, who have inside them. And it makes me wonder, how many people never got there because other people around them told them they couldn't? Sometimes I ask myself, is it hard work or luck? There are people who are billionaires who are literally earning what 60 countries earn. Steve Jobs deeply believed that one of the keys to success, that got him to his specific success, is connecting all the dots, specific experiences that he had in his life. By connecting all these dots, that's what got him to achieving that big goal of his. Because after Steve Jobs dropped out of college, he didn't fully leave because he stayed so he could do classes that he was truly interested in. And one of them was a calligraphy class. He learned about serif versus sans serif fonts, about spacing between letters, about kerning, which is spaces between words, about proportion, elegance, rhythm in letters. And mind you, this had absolutely no practical use at the time for Steve. He didn't even have a business plan, a career plan, or this will be useful for computers. And then fast forward 10 years, when he was building Apple, he said, wait, we can give these computers beautiful typographies. And that's when the calligraphy dot clicked into place. So he used the calligraphy dot in building this business. That's one of the things that got him the success that he had with computers. And because Apple did it first by using all this beautiful calligraphy, suddenly everyone was copying him, and it ended up shaping how every modern computer displays text. And outside, everyone thought that Steve Jobs was lucky. He got all these experiences that helped him, that got him there. That if he wasn't in that college, if he didn't even went to college, he wouldn't even get that success. Yeah, he met Wozniak, I don't know if I pronounced it right, which is the person who created the technology of Apple while Steve Jobs was the designer of it, which Wozniak was a once-in-a-generation engineer. And yeah, he grew up in Silicon Valley at the exact moment where computers were emerging. But you cannot look at that list and blame luck alone for his success. Yeah, sure, he got lucky with all these experiences, but at the end of the day, he was designer and one of the founders of Apple. He worked his ass off for 10 years. And he even got fired because of the fact that Apple was growing so fast, and the mindset of the investors that was all about stability, predictability, profits, and Jobs' mindset that was all about perfection, control, revolution was colliding, and that's why he got fired from the very company that he built. Considering the fact that he was also poor, like the fact that he failed and then came back stronger. When he got fired, most people would have played it safe, but he didn't. He just rebuilt from scratch. And the fact that he knew that he was good even before he could even fully explain why. Like most people outsource taste to trends, and Steve Jobs trusted his own. That's not luck, that's character. And that's why I'm so inspired by him. So that's why I feel like success wouldn't exist without both things, without luck and also hard work. I feel like in society, people tend to think that success is like a straight line, that constantly goes up. But in reality, it looks like this. Things happen pretty randomly, like the dots that Steve Jobs collected in his life. So in reality, success is actually exponential, because usually there's a few different lucky moments that happen in one's life that completely change things forever. Apple was failing for the first year, and because Steve Jobs was connecting all these dots that he got from his entire life, then he got his first breakthrough. But then the breakthrough didn't last forever. There was a long decline, and it lasted 11 years. 11 years of stagnation, of constantly failing after the early success. But then obviously it got his breakthrough, and this time much more bigger, where Steve Jobs returns after being fired and he builds, iPads, iPhone, so people think that Steve Jobs just got successful overnight. But in reality, if you look at the story, he failed for a decade. Then I feel like at a certain point, after you have tried a certain thing and failed and learned and improved at it for a certain period of time, things start to become inevitable. And all these successful people, they all got lucky. They all were somehow at the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. But I feel like everyone, all of us, get lucky at least once in life. It is impossible to not get lucky. Everyone has their own unfair advantages. And that's why Steve Jobs is a great example for this video, because he could have easily have quit after year 3 or 4 after being fired, or immediately after. But he chose to rebuild everything from scratch. He could have easily fell into the trap of thinking, oh my god, this doesn't work, it sucks, I'm going to find another job. Instead of having this negative mindset, he just put himself in a position where success was inevitable, which is 11 years later, where he reached his second bigger breakthrough. He wasn't born being a super talented technologic guy. He had to learn it, sweat a lot, and work so hard for a decade to be able to get that success. That made him become such a good product visionary designer for Apple. Because he was around for so long, he kept trying for so long and failed and learned a lot of lessons, more than everyone ever could. And one day he was just in the right place at the right time, and boom. I actually don't believe that someone is going to fail forever after trying for decades on that specific dream of theirs. At some point, it gets to become inevitable. And I feel like the hardest part about it, and the reason why success rates are so low, is because people struggle to believe that. I would have never dropped out of high school to pursue content creation full time and to keep doing after 3 years of constantly failing at content creation, or at the beginning I wasn't very consistent. I would have never done all of this and kept going if I didn't believe that success is going to be inevitable for me. If I just keep doing this, I can be successful in 6 months from now, sooner or later. Most people just change directions before they even get there. There's this shiny object effect, which is all about someone trying for a period of time a certain thing and seeing that is not bringing any result, they just look at the next shiny thing, the next successful person, and they just try to, copy that dream. And yeah, if you decide to pursue your dream, it may happen the next week or 30 years. But the thing is that we only got one life, guys. Why don't y'all just go all in on your dreams? Well, like, you might as well go for what you really want. And it's going to take some delusion to keep going for that long, because most of the times it's very likely that nothing's going to happen for the first few months or years, but eventually it will. Only those who stick around will find out.